Duplantis with Houston Community College, and welcome to the Story Behind the Story. This is a different type of show. We usually interview personalities around the city, former journalists, politicians, and people talking about Houston history over the past 20 or 30 years. But tonight we're doing something different. We're all working in a different environment, and we're live from going remote. We're not at the HCC TV studios because obviously we're shut down for a few weeks, but we're going to keep sending you content throughout the next couple of weeks live on Facebook and other social media means. So make sure you tune in because we want to keep our students up to date, the community up to date, but we also want to present some different perspectives that you can get a chance to see only here on our live streams. Tonight, I have a special guest. You know, after 9/11, things were a lot different in this country, and that's kind of changing once again. We looked at first responders and firefighters in a certain way. We held them up with respect and really appreciated what they did in light of everything that day. As we're going through this now, of course, those first responders are out there, but also the medical experts and the people in the hospitals taking care of the sick. But you've also had to look at the service industry and the people who are on the front lines, mainly people who work in the restaurant industry, the people who are delivering our food, the truck drivers, and the people who are in grocery stores. And tonight, I've got a very special guest. Josh joins me live now. Hello, Josh. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me on.
And Josh works at one of the grocery store chains in Texas, and you've been an employee there. But first, you and I have a special relationship. We've known each other quite some time, right?
Yeah, pretty much my whole life.
Yeah. Josh is my son, and he is a manager at one of the stores, and you work in the in one of the departments, correct?
Yes.
That's right. So, Josh, I wanted to ask you, you know.
I work in a perishable department.
Okay. So, you know, before we get to where we are now with this crisis, because I know you're out there every day, we were just talking about your schedule today. Over like 2 weeks ago, you and I were together and we went to a concert. We had a chance to see the Eagles. Yeah. And I was thinking about it. I was glad we saw the Eagles 2 weeks ago because the world was a whole different time then. You know, things were different. We didn't know what was going on. And I remember during the show, Don Henley even made a joking reference about the virus, saying that, you know, they wanted to give you a break from what's going on in the world. Did you ever imagine at that time where we are now and what was going to happen?
Oh, absolutely not. No. I mean, we were just out enjoying a good concert, you know, so times were definitely different. I wasn't even thinking about stuff like this going on in the world.
And that was just 2 weeks ago. You know, things started changing, and when they did, very rapidly. When did this start getting real for you working at the grocery store?
It was probably about 20, 30 minutes right after they announced the rodeo was canceled.
So that Wednesday when the rodeo was canceled, that's when people started rushing to the store. And did they come in droves? How did you hear what was going on, and what were your first thoughts?
Actually, when I heard the rodeo had closed, I was actually just talking to one of my coworkers, and I was just looking at, you know, social media on the phone, and of course they had just announced that that the rodeo was canceled, and then probably about 30 minutes to an hour after that, everybody was in there shopping.
And when we're talking everybody, was the store full?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we sold out of everything the first day, and then the next day, and then almost the following day. I'd never seen so many things sell so fast.
Well, you know, over the last few weeks, let's talk about your schedule, because I know you and I were talking about this. What is the typical schedule of workers who are working at grocery stores? Are they asking you to work extra hours? Are you having to show up? Are you putting in a lot of extra hours because of this?
No. Well, yeah, I'm putting in a lot of extra hours because of it, but I'm also I'm enjoying doing it. I mean, obviously they're not going to work us more than what we would like.
Right.
So, you know, I mean, the employees always have a choice if they want to work those longer hours, but with longer hours comes the overtime and being able to make sure our grocery stores are good, you know, and stocked.
And your coworkers, what's been the mood amongst them, or are you guys are not knowing what's happening from day to day? What's been the mood in the atmosphere around there?
Um, well, at first it was just, wow, this is a lot. It's chaos, you know. And then finally, a few days afterwards, it was kind of like, okay, this is going to be the normal for a little bit in the store, and in grocery stores, like you have to do a lot of planning,
Right.
as far as like what you're gonna bring in order and how many people are gonna be working with you. Well, when it just comes in mass waves and you don't plan for it, it makes it a little more difficult, which is what I think a lot of these grocery stores everywhere have been having issues with.
And we're talking mass waves. What are the busiest times when people are showing up? Is it constant? Let's talk the first couple of days.
Yeah.
Was it pandemonium as you hear at grocery stores? Because you see on the news people standing in line when the store opens up. Were you guys facing that? And did you have a mad rush in the beginning? Did it last all day? Or what were the busiest
Um,
times?
no, not so. We had mad rushes in the beginning. For the first few days, we didn't really know how like serious this was and how long it was going to go on for. So they weren't. There was not. There was a. There was people lining up about. I'd say probably about 2 days afterwards. Um, and so they were lining up. I think about an hour before the store opens.
Right.
And I just heard like this was pretty much everywhere. Um, so it was chaos at first,
What was
and then once the grocery stores kind of started to learn, I guess that these are going to be the hours, that's happening. So there's people are lining up right before we open and stuff. And so let's try to prepare for it
what
before it happens.
What was the mood among the customers, and what were some of the things you were hearing from them? Were they very scared? Were they concerned?
Um,
What were you hearing?
I mean, they weren't concerned. A lot of people are pretty understandable. I think social media kind of runs the world now, so there's a lot of there's a lot of funny memes and stuff going around on there. So I think a lot of people are kind of taking it a little lighthearted, but for the most part, everybody's still being precautious. So I don't see a lot of negative moods in the store. Um, it is a lot of like quick shoppers. I do see a lot of people wearing gloves and a lot of people wearing masks.
Right.
That's a big change. I haven't seen anybody in like a hazmat suit or anything like that. Um, so it's a pandemic, I guess, but it could be a lot worse.
Do you have you noticed people treating you differently? Have they been more appreciative of
Oh
the
yeah.
service help over? I mean, do you think that's kind of changed customers' attitudes? They act more appreciative now towards you as they did say 2 weeks ago.
Um, yes and no. I mean, I see a lot more of it. Yeah, absolutely, a lot more. I get a lot of people thanking me, thanking us, thanking everybody in the store for what we're doing.
Right.
Um, and someone had said to me that it's kind of like I guess kind of like a first responder almost,
Yeah.
um, because everybody's got to eat, you know. And in grocery stores, yeah, it's uh, I mean, yeah, everybody, yeah, I mean, they're always going to be there. It's
Right.
essential. We feed people.
Right, and so with the attitudes with the customers being different, what were they stocking up on? What do you? I mean, obviously we heard about the toilet paper situation, and that seems to be getting a bit better. But what were they stocking up on that? And did you ever ask them why? Why are you buying that much toilet paper?
No, 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 I don't even want to have that conversation. Um, no, a lot of people were stocking up on sanitizer
Right.
and sanitizer wipes, water, eggs, milk, um, meat. Uh, I mean, it started with the toilet paper and the sanitizer, and then everything just kind of unfolded afterwards. And it's just, well, everybody's stocking up,
Yeah.
you know.
How is this different from when I know you've been with this chain for several years? How is this different, this event crisis that we're in, as opposed to hurricanes that have come through? Because you worked through a few of those as well.
You kind of have a way to prepare a little bit more for hurricane.
Yeah.
And the hurricane didn't last long. That was like maybe a week, and then everybody started recovering, like, fully, I'd say 3 weeks afterwards. But this one's it's nonstop. Uh, Never seen it, never seen it before. And uh, I've been through some stuff in grocery stores, like I said, with Hurricane Harvey, but it's never been like this. I mean, it's different. It's definitely a big change, and I mean, it's not all bad.
Sure.
Working in grocery stores. I love my job, so.
Well, I know you do, and I know you do a great job at it. Very proud of you for what you do. I know you're also constantly going through training with the nature of your job. Did they address any training or special training with you for this? And hey, guys, this is evolving, and you need to be aware of this.
We're constantly getting training in stores, but even more so now. Obviously, in stores, it needs to be clean and stuff, but it's been more emphasized about day or like hourly sanitary moments.
Right.
Like a lot of people, a lot of employees are sanitizing. The entire store more frequently. So that was one thing that they trained us on. So we have a list of everything we clean and stuff every day, which a lot of people are taking full advantage of cleaning more too. Be empty, and that's like the best time to start cleaning it.
Sure.
So I mean, yeah, there's been a lot of training in it, and then there's a lot more of like cross training throughout the store. So people, learning how to, rather being in a department, learning how to check and stuff, and be a cashier. So there's a lot of different training procedures we're going through right now.
And
Overall.
I know you mentioned about the employees working in different departments and checking. I know your sister works for this chain, and I know she's been telling me that she's been transferred from her department to fill in other departments because they need the help across the store. I guess that's something that all you guys are having to do, besides you, because you're specifically trained in that department, correct?
Yeah, no, yeah. Everybody's needing to do it, it happens. It's happening in my store. It's happening in multiple stores. It's happening in multiple grocery chains. I'm sure, of just training everybody to do something different because now there's people are worried about getting sick and everything. So if someone gets sick, then they would need to be able to have somebody else cover that area of the department. So you need to have cashiers, in a grocery store. So.
Right.
They would need to start filling in for cashiers.
So let me ask you, these are some questions I imagine some of our viewers may have, some questions that if you are going to the grocery store, being an expert yourself there all the time, maybe you can help them answer. What are your busiest times during your days currently? And when would you say the rush is at the stores?
It always seems like the rushes they're early in the morning, like right when we open still. But it goes on and on. I would say the first 2 to 3 hours are like really busy, and then it might calm down for a little bit, and then it gets busier again. It's really hard to tell. It's every day is different.
And
every day is completely different. I can't really say like
sure
there's a best time to shop or anything.
Well, that's what was my next question.
Yeah. Well, there's really not a best time to shop, I guess, at any time, really.
Yeah.
If you have a local grocery store not far from you, then go to it. Get what you need. Get what you need. Not everybody needs to stock up on everything, such as toilet paper and stuff. That'd be the best thing. And then you would have a good shopping experience.
Do you guys have special hours for seniors at your particular store?
No, we don't.
Are
I mean,
there
there's so many.
is there a time
There's
where you see the seniors coming in more? Are they usually in the mornings?
no. I mean, everybody's there.
Yeah.
It's so different, you know. It's just it's just everybody's there all the time. I mean, this is just my location. Um, you know, I mean, there could be, there's probably, I'm sure there are stores that have a grocery, have uh, senior hour or whatever, but
Right.
unfortunately not mine.
Do you your sister had told me at her store they were running, they didn't have sanitizer, hand sanitizer. They didn't know when they were going to get it, and it's just hard to get around the country. Are you guys experiencing that as your store as well? Do you have people still asking you for it?
Yeah. I mean, there's. It seems like it's like that everywhere. It's at my store,
Right.
and I mean, it's just I never knew that hand sanitizer was such a hot commodity in our nation.
It is now.
Yeah, it is now. So, um, yeah, I mean, no, I mean, they come in. It's like, you know, they go in early in the morning and they're gone. If you even get a shipment of them.
What have you learned about your customers through this?
Um, I mean, I've learned a lot of people can be honestly pleasant during this uh, when they see that we are still we're in a grocery chain, and so we're still taking care of our customers and stuff, you know, because someone's got to do it.
Sure.
Someone's got to, yeah, you know, someone's got to have a grocery store, and someone's got to be able, you know, these people need to be able to eat
Right.
stuff. So,
What have you learned about your team that you work with?
but somebody's got to run, and they're strong. These guys work. Everybody works. They work hard in the stores, especially my store. They work really hard in my store. So, I've learned a lot about that. Is that when it comes down to it, you know, at the end of the day, they're gonna do what they have to do,
Right.
for their job, and that, you know, it's pretty respectable.
Right. What's the most inspirational thing that's happened over the last 15 days for you?
I guess for me, it's more of I guess just a motivation. I guess, yeah, to get through this. To get through it just as like as a country and a state and a city, you know,
Right.
so and then as a grocery store, just getting through it together. Um, that's it, I guess getting that motivation to go to do that.
Right. Well, you know, you and I were talking about this on the phone a couple of days ago, but after 9/11, you were pretty young back then. So do you
Hmm.
remember 9/11 when that happened? Do you have memories of those
Yeah,
times?
yeah. I mean, I was young. I was in middle school.
Right, right, right. But you remember them? Do you? I know this is different in a lot of ways, but the crisis this country is facing right now is unprecedented. As
Hmm.
a fresh 30-year-old, what's your
Yeah,
take on all this? Where we are right now? Does this give you hope? Are you optimistic about this?
yeah. I'm optimistic. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm completely optimistic about it. That's just me as a person, though. But um, just getting through it. I mean, you know, seeing a lot of stuff happen, I guess, in the country, you know,
Yeah,
with 9/11, you know, so I just think it's another massive hurdle. It's something historic for me. I mean,
sure.
um, yeah, and, you know, it, I don't think we've ever been in a global. I've never been in a global pandemic.
Sure, no one is. It's just a
Yeah.
crisis that we're facing,
Yep.
unlike anything. Okay, so we've been talking about your grocery store life and everything out there.
Mhm.
I've got 5 questions we're going to be asking everyone on the show because This show's a little bit different, where we're handling some serious topics, but we also try to lighten things up and get some positive news out there for you. And we hope you've got a new perspective of the folks who work behind the counters and the registers and the grocery stores and how they're really trying to be out there to serve you. But I've got some fun questions we're going to ask Josh, and everyone who's a guest on the show is going to answer these questions. During this crisis, Josh, what is your favorite go-to for takeout food?
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A.
Definitely Chick-fil-A. I'm loving me some Chick-fil-A.
Have you been picking it up over the past few days?
I have.
All right. What's the best meme you've seen in social media referring to this?
There was one I actually posted like yesterday. It's an aisle full of toilet paper, and it says hashtag Throwback Thursday.
There you go. All right. What's your favorite way to relax when you get home after a long day working during this crisis?
I like to spend time with my wife,
Right.
and just relax. Some days are longer than others. Some days are shorter. And honestly, I like to play. I'm not getting any sports right now, so I can't relax that way. So I play a lot of sports games.
Right. Right. And speaking of sports, you're also a big fan of a certain team, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. I love me some Dynamo.
Dynamo, and you also
Yeah.
you're proud to say you do a podcast as well, don't you?
Yep, I do. Yeah. No, I have a podcast with two of my other friends. We talk just Houston Dynamo. Right now, obviously, we're in hiatus, but there's not any sports going on.
Yeah. And what's the name of the podcast? Where can folks go to find it?
It is. You can find us on Facebook at The Peel 2005. The name of the podcast is The Peel. And then you can find us on Twitter at The Peel 05. And whenever we start back up, we usually do shows on Monday nights. We'll air them live and then post them right after. It's just me and two other guys. We do remote podcasts right now, so
Right.
all we're doing is just literally just talking soccer.
There you go.
So people are into that. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I know a lot of our students are into soccer. We have one of the largest international student bodies at HCC, and a lot of our students are big soccer fans. We've had a partnership with the Dynamo for several years at HCC, so I'm very proud to work with them. Here's another one for you. What's your best song to put you in a good mood when you're during this event?
This is the nerd coming out in me. So I like Dragon Ball Z, so I'll watch me some Dragon Ball Z anime, and usually it's music from that to pump me up on the way to work sometimes.
Is that fast-paced stuff you used to listen to years ago?
Yeah.
It's like
No.
fast-paced music?
No, I mean, I watched the show when I was younger.
I remember that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, do you have any special streaming shows or movies that you could recommend to people? Because people seem to be looking for things to watch these days.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest one is to probably avoid watching Star Wars, the new Star Wars.
You didn't like the new Star Wars?
It was all right.
It was all right. All right.
It was all right, but it was released early. I don't know. I haven't really watched a lot of movies right now.
When you get home and do you one final question I didn't get a chance to ask you in the interview earlier, but do you worry about catching what's out there, the virus, or is that something you have to put out of your mind? Because in essence, you got a job to do, but you also got to be mindful of yourself.
Yeah. So I mean, it's staying sanitary. I mean, yeah, it crosses my mind. I try not to think about it. But if I know the symptoms and stuff from what I've read, what to look out for. So if something did ever happen, then I would know, to quarantine.
Sure.
And my job would give me the time off to do that.
Right.
For obvious reasons. And but no, I mean, I stay sanitary. I mean, I clean my hands constantly.
Right.
Especially working at a grocery store.
With the nickname,
we have
you have to.
Yeah, we have like proper, actual ways to clean your hand, and there's the 20-second rule and all that, and then showering constantly. I mean,
right.
being sanitary,
Do you, if for folks out there watching this live stream, going to the grocery stores all the time, do you have a message you'd like to get out to them? Things that something you'd like to say, giving them a different perspective, something they may not think
No, well, I mean, as a grocery employee, I'm glad to be here to help during this time of crisis. You know, it's good to give that back. You know, and it's nice to see some people showing recognition of it too.
Right. Well, you know, since you and I went to that Eagles show a couple of weeks ago, boy, I never could have thought things would change so much and, in the world and where we're headed right now. I mean, you just, with something like this, you said with the hurricane, you know when it's coming, you see it coming, the news is covering it, but now we just don't seem to know when this is going to end. And I guess for you guys, it's just a day by day thing. You really can't see the end of this yet, can you?
No, not yet. I mean, it will eventually, but no, I mean, I don't see the end of it. I mean, I like what I do. I still get my time to me. It's longer hours, but I mean, that's just kind of what you kind of give up in retail in general. Sometimes, you know, sometimes it's in the grocery business.
Sure.
You know, so you give up a little bit more for specific things, but we're also not like we're not like, you know, firefighters or police or, you know, medics. So, I mean, they work, you know, all the time as well. You know, so, yeah, I mean, it's an experience.
Right.
It's a good experience for me personally, not with whatever's going on out,
right.
You know, obviously with the pandemic, but, personally for me during my job it's an experience, a good one.
Well, Josh, you know, we appreciate you. You know, of course, I appreciate what you do. Very proud of you. But we appreciate all of the folks, and you know, you really are on the front lines out there because you're supplying America right now when there's a time of need and people are worried. And one thing they can rest assured with is that you guys are keeping the shelves stocked and keeping the stores open.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Josh, thanks for joining me on the show today. And thank you for being a part of our show on the story behind the story. Look for us in the future. You can watch this episode recorded on Facebook, on our YouTube channel. We'll be sending out over social media. And look for us live throughout this event while we're doing some remote podcasting here. We're going to keep you up to date on all the events, all the things that pertaining to our students out there. Thank you for joining me on the story behind the story. I'm Todd Duplantis, and I'll see you next time.